almost anything successful that we do, we usually stumble into it. And
Yeah,
it's from one thing to another. And oh my goodness, I didn't expect to do this. I'm
exactly.
curious how this came
Mhm.
about in your life.
Yeah, exactly. That's interesting because the I've always had this both metaphorically and literally, a good touch. Right? Now it's like to touch an object, right? The way you touch an object is a completely different thing than when you touch somebody. To touch somebody is always a communication. There's so many different levels that are going on, and you can always tell a good massage therapist from a bad one from the moment their very initial touch. Because it's like a really good one, they
Mhm.
can just grab your finger and you feel that they're in consideration of the whole of your body. You feel that your whole body grasped. Whereas like somebody who's not so fluent, they grab an object.
That's right.
So that particular kind of tuning into something and being oriented around it, I would have to say, God, I could, if I feel back into it, there's a way, I would say there was a way in which, so where I grew up, both my parents, who are like, they're both extraordinary people. They're amazing people and they suffer from addiction. And so
Mm.
there was like a lot of craziness and violence and all the things that come with addiction we suffered through when I was a kid, and I was an only child. And so there was a way in which I'll like I was often from a very early age was I was managing the fights between my mom and my dad. And so there would be this kind of way in which where I could feel the way my dad pulled it into the driveway, I could feel into what kind of mood he was in. So there was a way where I think a lot of my resources were were feeling into things in such a way that where feeling into things in a way where I wasn't necessarily subjugating myself to the conflict.
No,
That
that's right.
of course I wasn't very successful at that, but feeling into a mood like being with all of my mother's hurts and all of that. So there was a kind of a way
Where
where
intuitions were earned.
yeah, absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
as a child in a context like that, it's
Yeah,
survival,
totally.
if not physically, emotionally.
Oh,
And
totally.
so what you say doesn't surprise me a bit.
Yep. So I think it's like there's something about in there that had me extend myself out and feel into things. So there's something about the my physical embodied orientation to it is has a deep courtesy to it and like remaining invisible in some regard, yet in deep consideration of the other.